back to the channel. In today's video we're talking about storing cereals. I had many emails from yourselves asking how do I store my cereals for long term and what should we do to preserve the texture and flavour of cereals. Well, to be fair guys, it's really not that difficult and this video will be quite a short one, but there is also a little hack which I'm going to share with you. So first of all, we all know guys, as a preppers, we all stock cereals and a vast amount of it, all depending of course what we prefer as a family, what our family likes. However, in this instance I have the selection of our choices of cereals that we stock, okay? And one thing I wanted to point out to you guys, that when it comes to storing the cereals, it kind of depends, the longevity of the cereal and the storage will depend on what cereal it is. So for example guys, the things that have more additive, like sort of sugar and fruit, will last you a little bit less. Not that they'll last you a little bit less, but they will lose a lot more flavor or texture whilst storing long term. However, things like the wheat biscuits, you know, the basic things, will last far longer than your any other one with a lot of additives. So this is if you are making a decision in terms of, well, I want to store some cereals for an emergency situation, but I'm really not sure how well I'm gonna store and which ones the best ones to keep. Well, to be fair guys, yes, the wheat biscuit will be #1 best stored cereal in terms of its ability to keep its shape and flavor. Saying that, of course, it is kind of a boring thing, and to be fair, I don't like that whatsoever. I much rather have any of the other ones, but it is down to personal choice and down to the reason why you want to stop them. So as for an emergency guys, I always have few of those because my husband and daughter will eat them. However, for anything else, for the sweet tooth people, obviously there are many other options. So as we said guys, for the longevity is going for the basic one. For anything else, go for any other cereals. However, yet again, of course, the question arises, well, how on earth do we store that? Well, first of all, okay, any of those guys cereals, any of those will have at least a year shelf life, okay? And they will be absolutely fine for another year or even 2 without you doing anything to it. Of course, as a preppers, we want to make sure that we preserve our cereals to its best condition for as long as possible. So there's a numerous of things that you can do by storing them in that way. So to know, obviously, what affects the cereals, guys, is, or with anything else, to be fair, is moisture, light, and temperature. So the idea is, guys, even if you store your cereals in the boxes, which I do majority of the time, make sure they are in a cool, dark room, and they'll happily sit there for a little while. If we're talking about preserving things for a little longer, a little further, guys, you can invest into the glass mason jars and you can vacuum seal them using your vacuum sealer and a lid attachment. So it goes in there, you can put this on the lid, it sucks the vacuum out, and you're basically left with a jar of cereal that is sealed for a very, very long time. And when I talk a really long time, guys, we're talking about cereal will last for good 5 years onwards when it's sealed and protected. Of course guys, when you come to open up and consume, make sure you use the common sense and basically smell it, make sure there is no infestation or any bugs in there, and make sure it just looks okay and smells okay, which is normally what you should be doing whilst consuming stuff from the storage, okay? So this is one of the easiest things to do. However, I must say though, especially here in UK, the glass jars are quite expensive, and I'm thinking, to be fair, I could occupy my jar with something a little bit more exciting and something that will yield me a little bit more for a little longer term than just having this 1 litre of cereal that's cost me like £1 or £2. But again, the options are there. The other option, guys, for, as we may know, the Mylar bags, okay? This one is a large one, you can buy them in any sizes. You can Mylar bag your cereals, no problem whatsoever. Mylar bag it, and you can use the oxygen absorber, so sucks in all the oxygen, because you might be aware or not, but your vacuum sealer machine cannot seal the Mylar bag, so it has to be heated with either iron or hair straighteners. But yes, you can store them in here with the oxygen absorbers. I don't do it this way, guys, and I explain the reason again. The Mylar bags are really expensive, and so, to be fair, now the oxygen absorbers. So the point is being, because the cereals, they're very light and very airy, there is a lot of air in between the cereal in the whole compound as well. So when you put the oxygen absorbers, you have to put quite a lot of them in there, unlike you do if you, for example, put the rice in there. Because the cereal is so much area, you won't kind of get everything out. And I feel it's going to be a lot of expense, again, for not a lot of yield. So option is there, guys, but I don't think this is really a cost-effective option to store the cereal. But if you really want to and you can afford to, then this is a great way to go. But just remember that you'll need to work out the amount of oxygen absorber you're using, or a correct size of oxygen absorber to put in the bag that you're using. Next thing, guys, you of course, so you already guessed it, you can use your vacuum sealer machine and use the vacuum sealer bag. So they use those, which you may be familiar with. And you can buy them anywhere, Amazon, you can buy them from Lidl, whatever option there are, guys, you can buy them. Again, they're not particularly the cheapest ones, but this is one of the mediocre ways of storing your cereal. So you cut a piece up, you put your cereal in there and you vacuum pack it in, and it's ready to go to be stored in your dark room. So you will ask, what other options is there? Well, there we have it. This is a pack of cereal. As you can see, the the air has been removed. I haven't made it brick hard because, well, they're gonna get crushed like you do by using your vacuum sealer. However, a little tip to you guys, okay? So, we know that vacuum machine to work requires a rough side and a smooth side. The rough side needed to be so the air can pass through when machine sucks the air out of the product. Well, as I've demonstrated before with the Milo potato bags, the little individual sachets, our cereals have the same. Our cereals have ridges, okay, in the bag. So basically, the point is that if you really, really didn't want to spend the money on investing into that, okay, all we're going to do, guys, is you open up your pack carefully and make sure that the bags is not beaten up and the cereal is not sharp. It will not work with like Kellogg's things because they're quite sharp and they will probably rip the bag. So the best thing is avoid that if you want to use this method. But the soft round things, okay? So we've got a little hole and it goes into my sealer. Okay. So guys, okay, in many cases you might find that you have to hold the vac button down because there is not enough of the space for the air to come through because it's only open a little bit. So you might be thinking, the machine might be thinking that it's finished its job. So by manually pressing it or holding it for a bit longer, it depends on your machine, will save it and it will do the job for you. So we're now going to seal that. So we are done, okay? You can see it's done its job, okay? You have to make sure, I can stress enough, guys, you have to make sure that the bag is already tear-free initially, because any tiny hole will make sure that the air will be escaping and will not keep for a really long time, okay? I would suggest afterwards, guys, you either put this in either Milo bag or back in a box, whatever you choose to do, but there's an option there for you. Even if you're just using that as a short-term storage, is it still a good idea to do, because it literally hasn't cost you anything. You don't need to adjust the heat seal because the bags are just thin enough or thick enough to be able for it to seal properly without any issues. Double seal it if you have to, but it is an option for you, and hopefully you'll find this as a little hack. You can do this a few things, like I said, including the little mashed potato, the one that comes in the little silver little bags. It will work just as well. So finally, guys, we're talking about the long term, okay? Cereals generally won't expire, okay? Unless you don't store them properly. If any moisture gets in or any bugs get in there, yes, we will have a problem. But generally, they should sit there on your shelf for a very, very long time. As I said, of course, use your common sense when you come to use it. And after the prolonged period of time, guys, I would say probably after 4 to 5 years, the flavors will start to deteriorate. The texture might deteriorate anyway, because it's just inevitable. Things like this, they're very delicate. They will start losing their bits, you know, the nice things that you like about the cereals. However, as an emergency thing, guys, they will sit on your shelf for a very long time. And if you're desperate, as we know, guys, you'll eat anything if you're desperate. So there we have it. So hopefully, guys, hopefully this answered your question. I didn't really want to complicate that video because there's nothing complicated about storing your cereal. As to my personal choice, guys, what I do, I don't bother. I just have my boxes with the bags in there. I reseal it, put it back in there. That's that. I don't need to worry, and I don't want to worry. You know, life is complicated enough, especially for us as the preppers. There's certain things that just don't require that much of attention, or even for you to spend money on sort of things that really don't particularly matter. So option is there. this is how I do this, and hopefully you'll find this helpful. So if you did, don't forget thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye.